Welcome back to C-Bahn. It's second T20 International of the day. Once again, Austria taking on Belgium. Austria have this time won the toss, but it's going to be just the same as in the morning with Austria batting first and the same two opening batters taking guard. Once again, Bushroetzer will take the first ball and the Centurion from the first innings, Andrea May Cepeda, at the other end. With me, my learned colleague, Suraj Mohammed.
Good afternoon, everybody. So welcome back to another thrilling T20 International, Austria versus Belgium. We had a clear first match winner, with Austria winning the first match with about 120 runs to spare. And we will see what Belgium has changed since the first match, so that they would want to certainly change the outcome of this match and, of course, put Austria in some sort of a bother early on. First match, Austria won by some 110 runs. And first ball of this inning, a dot ball, Bushroetzer defending it towards the mid-wicket area and taking strike and just having a look. Opening the bowling is Belgian captain Nicolas Trupp.
And after some consideration, the umpire stretches his arm out again today, or both arms, in fact, and that is the first wide of this afternoon match, as sent down by Thrupp. There is one change amongst the two teams. Austria have fielded an unchanged 11. As they get the scoreboard ticking, that's a nice safe cut from Utzer. There was always going to be two there. And indeed, they get them. On the Belgian side, we do just have the one change. Shirt number 20, Susan Parker, out. Well, that one a little bit more edgy. But there's a single to bring Cepeda on strike. And into the Belgian 11 comes number 6, Shrata Bandari. So whether one change will be enough to turn around what was a comprehensive defeat in the morning remains to be seen.
There might be an injury on ground. We still have to check what exactly happened here, whether the ball went to the fielder or it's just some hurt issues. It appears to be... Is it the Belgian number 18? We are trying to provide you with some updates as we see what's unfolding here in front of us on the field. Medical personnel also on the field now. So currently 5 runs from the first over One ball yet to be bowled.
Well, the cluster of concerned individuals in the center of the field is now breaking up. Now, is this somebody leaving the pitch injured, or are we all going back to battle on? Yeah, it looks like the spray is out, as we are seeing the fielder in question go off in the direction of the dugout. Do we already have a substitute on? I assume the substitute was already on.
So it's Susan Parker in for the hurt number 16, and that is Nikita Verma, who was batting for quite a long time in the first match today. So she is out with what appears to be an injury to her hand. So that was certainly an injury to her hand. With that, she's out of action for now at least. Of course, she can come back to the field if she feels fit, but with the match still to come tomorrow, the best would be to take a rest and come back with fresh energy tomorrow on to the ground. First over down. First over down with 5 runs for the Austrian side, no wickets lost. And we have the second opener coming in.
Yeah, so as in the first innings, that will be Anya Beasto, who I still haven't confirmed the pronunciation of the name, but she'll be charging in from the check end as she did towards the end of the Belgian bowling innings earlier on. Producing quite a good over there. So let's see how it's going to go here. There is once again well, actually they're changing the field just a little bit. We have, instead of the packed leg side field, we've got now a 5-4 offside field so far in this Belgian fielding innings. That is one difference, and the two players out in the power play are long on and long off. There's a leave. We saw plenty of those in the Belgian innings, but of course, if it's a wide, there's a good reason to leave it. Well, apologies for the regular silences. We are trying various configurations with our microphone cables and different furniture arrangements, in fact, onto my third different chair of the innings. And we're only in the second over. So forgive the interruptions as we get our minds back on the game. Did that miss everything? No? Yeah, it's buys, indicated buys. And they scamper through, so Andrea May has not had too much of the strike so far early on. And it's Bushra in charge mostly with getting this innings going.
And a wide from Ania Bersto. So to bring you the field setting, it appears to be that we have a long on and long off in front of us. Then there is an extra cover hanging at the circle. 2 fielders in the covers, a gully, a fine leg, a square leg, and a mid wicket. Very defensive field so far, because the circle fielders are very much on the circle. So going on to defend whatever runs might come along. And Anya with another wide. And we have just received a confirmation that that Susan Parker is certainly out for this match and will only return tomorrow.
So just to clear up any confusion, Susan Parker was out of the 11, the original 11 for the second game, but due to the injury that we've just seen, is now back on the field. So pretty much playing the whole game after all, you would expect, but of course won't be batting. As Anya Bairstow continues what has been at times a fairly wild over. Couple of short ones, and this one Bushra climbs into, and it's well stopped. I must say I did watch some of the Belgian fielding drills in the run-up to the second game, and there was already a notable improvement in their catching as compared to the same set of drills this morning. So hopefully that means we can look forward to some improved fielding from the visitors.
And this time it's a wide on the offside. So Anya struggling to find her line early on in the match. Keep it simple and nice and easy are the calls from the field. Yeah, indeed. How much can a bowler really reflect or react to these calls from the field? Because hardly any ever has a bowler said, I'm not trying to keep it nice and easy. As she runs in again. Good ball this time, but Andrea Meisepeda early on it and guides it to the boundary on the fine leg. And that's the first 4 in the Austrian inning.
Yeah, she showed great timing in that direction and continues to do so now. And one feature of the way she does it is really getting the whole body into that shot and giving it a good whack, using all the energy she has. Quite textbook stuff, actually. And we're seeing more evidence of that this afternoon. It is baking out here at Seabahn, and the Belgians are going to have to work hard to keep their spirits up in the field, you might say. It's another short one, but also a wide one from Anya, whose length has been a bit all over the place, coming in from the check end this time around. And she definitely has got some work to do. As you say, Suraj, whatever the other fielders say, she's no doubt giving her best. But it's nice to have some encouragement.
Generally, you have to wonder how much of her energy was left on the ground for the first match already. As you said, it's cooking out here, and it is not easy on the players in the match. And of course, you will struggle if you have bowled 4 overs in the first match already. She was also one of the more active fielders, one of the quicker batters in the run and running between the wickets, and now being brought on to bowl. And yeah, that's another wide. We are in the second over, and that is just, yeah, it's turning out to be a lengthy one.
Well, she's just had a word in her ear from the captain. See if it's going to make a difference. Still short and appropriately punished. That is, as they say out in the middle, going. Andrea Meizepeda got all of that, and the word in the ear didn't quite do the trick. I would suggest maybe pitch it up, something along those lines. if nothing else. As you mentioned earlier, Suraj, captaining from long off, not the easiest job, and we're seeing Nicola Thrupp having to run up and communicate with bowlers and the rest of the fielders on a regular basis this over. But if she wants to be closer, she's the captain, and she can do that anytime she likes.
A nicely hit from Andrea Mezepeda again. Might be double on the offer, no. Bushra declines it. She wants to face some of the balls as well. Unless, of course, it is over, then she doesn't. And that is the case. It's over. I do struggle with the philosophy of captain as the best fielder, if that might be the case here. And Nicola Thrupp, probably one of the better fielders. And she's making herself run from long on to long on in what it seems to be a pretty unnecessary move. Because you have 9 other fielders on the ground, and you have to trust all of them to do the job about as well as you could do it yourself, or at least about 90% of that. And at the end, there's no real high-flying catches coming onto the long on, long off boundary anyway. So you're just standing there to stop a 4, and a 4 can be stopped by not only the captain, but more players could stop a 4. And now Nicola Thrupp on to bowling, and she opened the bowling, so this is a second over. So we are into the third over, and it does seem that they have some time issues already.
Treated with some respect there by Andrea Mezepeda. We have still got the mid-off. Obviously, it's not Thrupp when she's bowling. And then we have a much wider mid-on for this situation. And I do like him a bit wider as far as the boundary riders are concerned in this early stage. We haven't seen, as Suro said, catches being launched in the direction of mid-on and mid-off at any stage of the game, really. And to be honest, that hasn't been one of the major scoring areas. The couple of boundaries we've seen today have been, or so far in this match, have been square of the wicket and behind square on the leg side. So it might be worth just looking at where those fielders are placed.
So the current score is 23 off 2 overs, and there have been 7 wides in the previous over, and this is the first one for this over for Nicola Thrupp. Yeah, this is really the learning point for all the players, and not only for the captain and for Belgium, and not only for Belgium, but also for Austria, is that have a look at your opponents, have a look at the batters. What are they doing? Where is the ball going? How is it being played? And where does it make sense to set up your field in that, exactly the context of that match? Because you may come in with a plan, but a plan is just that. And if the batters are not playing according to your plan, it's high noon to change that plan. And I feel that by not doing that already, Belgium is just putting themselves into a little bit of a bother in the wide long on, in the straight-ish long off positions. I would rather have a deep backward point, because that's where the shots have been played towards, and maybe even somebody wide off fine leg or deep fine leg, or maybe just bring the second fielder in altogether.
Bushra playing it nice and straight on this occasion. Certainly the most flamboyant hair on either team, I would dare to suggest. Hasn't slowed her down so far this game, or all day in fact. Had a good knock in the first innings. Her best of the season. And I'm not feeling a lot of energy coming from the Belgian fielders at the moment, I have to say.
It's a late September sun, Richard. It's evaporating the energy from the field. And certainly not an easy task to be in the ground for another 20 overs match. 40 overs on the ground are tiring. They can be more than what you would ask for a Saturday cricket match. And 40 overs, not only for a national side of Belgium or Austria, 40 overs generally in this kind of heat is not something that you would want to do. And we have on into the attack now Ananya Singh coming in. That's pink shoes again. And she was already charging in the first innings. And we will see how her second match performance goes. She will start off against Andrea May Cepeda. We are in the fourth over.
And she too starts with a wild one. She's got a fairly geometric ring of fielders in operation. Just the one extra one saving one on the offside, and then the two in the deep straight. As Andrea May Cepeda watches that go by and says thank you very much. I'll queue up for the next one. I tell you who has been making a noise is the Austrian batting bench. They had the war cries out a minute ago. I think Belgium might want to take a cue from that, because it could turn into 20 very long overs if they don't keep the spirits up in the field. Easier said than done. Easy for us to sit here and criticize, no doubt about that. As they snatch another confident single. These two did ultimately get split on 111 by a run out in the first innings, but not before they'd done some pretty convincing running between the wickets up until that point.
And as Ananya pulls out of the run-up, the delivery towards Bushra Ocha. And I have to agree, very flamboyant hairstyle, but certainly a standout on the field. And another wide. Yeah, the shouts for energy, they are getting more and more. Energy is not something you can just create. It has to be converted from something into something. So where do you take the energy to convert into some cricketing energy in the first place? This will be the question that the Belgium side is now trying to answer.
Spoken like a true scientist. Well, today I would be looking to solar energy as my primary source, although it doesn't quite always work like that, especially when you've already got one game under your belt and it didn't go all that well. If Belgium's main aim for the afternoon was to tidy up on the wides at least, I'm afraid it's not going to plan so far. Now coming in off a bit of a shorter run is Ananya Singh. And that does produce a little bit more control, but they'll get back for two. But you're right, Suraj, it is as though the fielders have heard us, because they're making a bit more noise out there now. And there's an appeal here. Umpire's not interested, but it's the second ball in a row that's caused a little bit of difficulty. It hasn't been a wide. Now it's a case of keeping that pressure on. How many good dot balls can they put together here? Or will the valve be released? You can sense the noise in the field. They know it's important ball, this one, in terms of building pressure. That's gone straight to the fielder, but there's a quick early call from Andrea May Cepeda and gets home comfortably.
And as Andrea Mesipeda prepares herself to face the ball, we have 2 more deliveries in this over. And with that, it's still 2 deliveries left in this over with a wide. It is of course understandable that some of the players here are already pretty tired, especially if they have been carrying the bowling in the first inning and in the first match. And this is not an easy task, especially on a height as we're facing on this September day at Seebaden cricket ground at the mighty SCG of Austria. You might, of course, confuse that with the SCG in Australia, but the one is in Europe, the other has spiders. Small geographic difference, and we are waiting for. That was a good delivery, smacked through the covers. Might even go for 4. No, it hasn't. But 2 runs taken, and Rea Mesipeda is comfortably back home for this throw.
Nice to see a couple come off the free hit for a change. Not a boundary, but there have been a lot of free hits that have been rather quiet so far today. Not this time. That's another pretty full toss, and it's gotten away, beaten the fielder. Can't see who that was at such an extreme distance. We are directly opposite her on the other side of the field, commentating on what we can see in front of us, not on what you can see on your screen. Which might explain the odd lapse. Apologies if there are moments when we don't seem to know whether the ball was extremely wide or not. It is just the angle we're sitting at here. A little bit of a breeze coming in. You might be able to see on some of the Belgian players' hair. It'll take a little bit more wind than that to move Bushra Ucha's immaculate styling. But you can see the effects of a little afternoon breeze, which is very pleasant, I must say, on Anya Bairstow at the moment. She's swapped ends. Coming in from the count end now. And not for the first time we see one go behind square to the fielder saving one, but Andrea Mesipeda is alert to the opportunity, backing up well and saying, go, go, go. And they get a single that on another day might not have been. So Anya sent down quite a lot of dodgy deliveries earlier on today, early on this innings. Let's see how this over is going to pan out at the count end. And it's a rare defensive block from Andrea May, so that's a promising sign from the bowling point of view. We call this the count end from where she's bowling because the count to whom this cricket ground belongs has a residence in amongst those trees, and it's not a small one. And once again, a ball that should have been cut off is not. And there's a bit of comedy out in the deep, but the end result is 2 where there should have been a maximum of 1. And the Belgian ground fielding has proved just a little bit costly today, if not the number 1 issue, which probably still remains extras. Well, that one was only ever going to one place, which is the boundary at square leg. Once again, the cries of Immer wieder Österreich. I think Immer wieder Österreich, Immer wieder something, coming in from the Austrian bench, providing plenty of support to this opening batting pair, which once again Belgium are struggling to dislodge. Well fielded there by Zara on the bounce, but they still scamper through for one. A reminder that this opening pair put on 111 in the first match before they were finally prized apart. And Andrea May went on to register a century. Belgium will already be having nightmares about that happening again. There are some hands on hips out there, but the noise remains good in comparison to the first couple of overs, as far as the Austrian fielders are concerned. Once again, it's a bit on the short side from Anya, and what we just saw is quite a rarity because they thought about a run that might have been one, and then they decided against it. So just good to see what a bit of pressure from the field can do. And perhaps a little bit of respect starting to come from the Austrian batters on that front. But in deciding to turn and go back, they did so decisively. And they live to bat on. News from the scorer's desk is that that was the first over without a wide in this innings. Definitely something worth commenting upon. But ultimately another steady start from the Austrians. As we now have Shweta Sinha, the vice-captain, into the attack. With Austria's 50 already up on the board. And it was only a brief respite from the wides. Time to get this on the straight and narrow. Down leg it goes, but the umpire says, I'll let that one go. And we start to make some inroads into this over. More solid fielding from Zara Sands in the covers there. In her familiar spot. This time she cannot take the sting off that ball, and it's going to go. Keeps the fielder interested, but Andrea Cepeda has picked up another boundary with a very attractive drive through the covers. No, it is actually Immer wieder Andrea that they're singing, which pretty much means Andrea forever. That's the war cry coming from the Austrian bench. And why not? Because sometimes it does look like she is going to hang around forever. Particularly today. That was definitely one of the shots of the day we just saw, I would suggest. Now we see a rare aerial one, particularly early in the innings. We hardly saw that at all earlier on today, but Cepeda is just growing in confidence all the time, as you do when you scored 100 and have already had a really good look at the bowling. I was happy to take that on. Bushra has missed what was more or less a full toss when it went past the bat, and unfortunately has to say goodbye to her opening partner, given out LBW, and Austria are one down.
This time it's an early wicket for Belgium, and Bushra missing out on a full toss, hitting her back leg, and I think that was as plumb as they can get. So, and the captain is now informed that her injured player won't be able to take the field again today. I reckon that was just a matter of time. So here, new striker in is Gandali Bapat. So the skipper comes in at number 3 and now takes guard and is now waiting for Shweta Sinha to run in and bowl. So we'll see if Gandali Bapat can improve on her performance from the first match, but anything can happen after that LBW shout. Again, very interested in an LBW shout. Umpire not so much interested, but also quite clear why it was rising quite a bit. So probably going over.
Yeah, I think height was definitely an issue there. Line we can't really tell you about from our angle, but at least one reason not to give that out from where we're sitting. And I believe that should be the end of the power play. 6 overs down.
So another unfortunate situation for Belgium comes into place as the replacement fielder that is now on ground is, of course, the 12th player on the field. So in that case, Susan Parker, who was playing the first match, won't be able to bat or bowl this match. So Belgium now playing with only 10 wickets in total. So after 9 down, that is pretty much match done for Belgium. But of course, it has to be reached first from Austria, so that whether or not Belgium will be 9 down will be seen. And that was a solid defense. And of course, about as brilliantly bowled from Anya Bairstow. I think changing the ends might have improved her bowling here.
As it did in the first innings, it seems that as a bowler, she just doesn't like to get bogged down at one end. Another well-run one. So we're going to see if Gandali and Andrea Cepeda can build a partnership together here, as the opening pair did in the first match. Gandali was impressive enough, pacing herself into her innings, coming in with a much bigger platform in the first match. Now she's got plenty of time and will also be a more central figure, hopefully, to a big Austrian score once again. That's been called wide. No change to the field, although the power play is now done, which again leads us into the point of going in with a plan and kind of sticking with it. We've hardly seen much of a change since the start of the innings in terms of the field positions. We still got long on, long off out. Not that I think you need to spread the field by any means. It's not exactly, I don't think it's as out of control in terms of boundaries as it was in the first match, but the wides are probably as bad as they were before. I haven't got the direct comparison to hand, so that's purely anecdotal in terms of what I can remember. As we see some reluctance to use the hands out there at backward point, which ultimately means probably another one to the score that shouldn't have been there. And it's gone very quiet out in the middle again, as Seaborn bakes in this autumn sunshine.
And with that, Gandali takes another run. Gandali, just to remind you, made 13 of 24 balls in the first match with 2 fours to her name. So certainly a scorecard that she would like to improve on, and of course to just stick around a bit longer than 24 deliveries this time, as she does have the time now. She doesn't have to rush through anything. There's plenty of time for her to settle in, as we are just in the 7th over yet.
As we see Anya jogging back to her mark, looks like she's going to be bowled through her quota here, up front in this game. As the breeze just picks up a little bit across Seabar, no one's complaining about that. It's coming in, how shall I put it, from the left if you happen to be looking. No, it's coming in from the right of the camera that you're probably looking at now, from behind the batter. That's the side it's coming from. So if you were swinging it in, you'd be happy of the assistance with the breeze that it currently is. But I don't think it's enough to make much of a difference other than cooling you down at the moment. A little bit uppish there from Andrea Metzapeda. But a straightforward enough single. And another over goes into the book. As Austria accumulates steadily with 1 wicket down. Remember, it was only this morning that they had never scored more than 83 in a women's international at Seabarn. Well, I think we can safely say they should get past that for a second time in one day in just a few minutes' time. Schwerter back for another over from the check end.
That's 66 after 7 overs. And we have Schwetersiner coming in the 8th over. And Andrea Metzapeda already eyeing that up. And tries to have a swing at it. Appears to have missed it, but still a single on offer. That will be... Oh, she did not miss it, says the umpire. That was off the bat. A brilliant stop at mid-off. Sorry, at mid-on, of course. And puts the body on the line, stops the ball, and might have saved a couple of runs here.
We're seeing a little bit of a captaincy lesson playing out in front of us with one of the Belgian coaching staff having a word with Nicola Thrupp, the captain, just underlining that this is a very new team at international level, less than a day old actually, and there's an awfully steep learning curve going on out there. So although there are not a lot of fielders out apart from long on and long off, the Austrians are managing to rotate the strike pretty well and find more than enough singles out there to keep things ticking along very well. There's an element of the steady accumulation about this innings. Even the batters look a little bit tired. You wouldn't blame Cepeda for being tired after batting almost the entire innings earlier on and making 100. Gandali pretty fresh to the wicket. Didn't have too long a knock earlier on today. And we'll just confirm in a moment who's coming to the attack at the count end of the ground.
So after 8 overs, Austria is cruising rather at 73 for 1 lost. Belgium still struggling to find quite what they would like to do, as there is another wide from Ananya. So 8 overs in, 74 for 1, and Gandali Bapat on strike. So of course would want to improve on that first match score and tries to go for that and hits it rather firmly, and the ball would like to travel, and it does for 4. That's 78 total runs for Austria.
Yeah, news from the boundary rope right in front of us is that there are warnings being sent out regarding over rates from the match referee. A reminder that we saw penalty runs in the first game due to slow over rate. Belgium had to chase 10 more than they otherwise would have, which made no difference in the end in a heavy defeat, but they will have some hopes of keeping it down to a slightly more modest score today, the way things are going. Slightly, perhaps, if they can get rid of Cepeda earlier on. And they don't want unnecessary penalty runs being added. So the captain, who's got to take this catch and has taken this catch, has not only got to sort out the over rate, but won't be thinking about that at the moment. This is a moment for celebration. It's been taken. She's calling all the troops in. They're going to have a word about speed, no doubt. And That is the end of Gandali. It's another short stay at the wicket. And the words out there at the moment will be, well, not only get on with it, girls, but also if we can get rid of number 19, we should not be chasing the score we were chasing earlier. That's got to be the message. And there's still enough of this innings left. We're not quite halfway for Belgium to turn this around to some degree.
And Gandali departs for 11 runs. Next batter in is Joanne Stieglitz. She will be also at the striker's end. And we shall see if the Austrian middle order can provide some anchoring role as well to this score today. They have not been tested massively yet, but this is certainly an opportunity for them to grab. But for that to grab, the ball must land in certain areas, and this was not one of them, so wide being called from the umpire. Another wide.
Well, it could be a second. They're thinking about it. No, probably would have made it. But it's a welcome to the wicket for relative senior player Joanne Stieglitz, who didn't get a knock this morning, mainly because of the dominance of the opening pair. And she'll be pleased to get out in the middle and have a good solid few overs to face, because she's probably due some runs after a couple of low scores in Italy, and then also a lack of opportunity in a couple of the games, as we saw her have this morning. These two have had their share of partnerships in the past. They'll be looking to build a big one now. Equally, as I said, for Belgium, really, this is the moment to strike. This is the moment to rescue their fielding effort. If they could just get through. Cepera's defences could be all to play for. For now, Stieglitz back on strike.
And Stieglitz also proving herself in the Italian series this summer to be one of the better runners between the wickets, and also just being very proactive in her calls. So I'm really, really excited to see that happen again as the umpire calls for a no ball. With that, of course, a free hit being given. It seems that Ananya Singh is really struggling with the line today. Well, not today, but at least this match. Joanne struggling a little bit with the calling or with the running or with the hearing, apparently. So not really hearing the calls of a captain. No, sorry, not the captain. The former captain, of course, with Andrea May Cepeda. But this certainly leaves room for improvement in the later overs.
One over left till the drinks break. 86 becomes 87. Well, Schwerter continues from the check end. And the ring field remains in place. Mid-wicket's pretty deep. And with some attentive running, there's definitely singles plenty out there, as there have been throughout the Austrian innings this time around. And between that and the regular wides, they've been mostly content to take them. It's fair to say, since the beginning of this innings, the number of 4 balls seems to have declined just a little bit. So we see a wildish swing, a rare wildish swing from Cepeda.
One thing we haven't discussed is how hard the concentration has to work, and how much more you have to work with your concentration levels if the bowlers are bowling indeed wides and no balls, because you are being thrown off your game plan, and you are thrown off your shots selection, even if you really want to go for the shots, and if you really want to just have a go at it, because exactly again these 2 balls, so the last 2 deliveries that we've seen, just fired down on the leg side. You would ideally want to have a look to play these in your regular areas with Andrea May. It's usually the V, or even square off the wicket, and just cannot get to it as the balls are just way too wide on leg or way too wide on the offside, and thus not able to connect with the bat at all. And of course that dips the concentration a little bit, that tricks you off a bit, and with that you might just be a bit more successful, or you might be just more distracted and might give away your wicket in a rather unnaturally way for yourself.
Absolutely, it does take a certain discipline to watch wides go by. Every batter wants to feel bat on ball, and they want to advance their own scoring. And although it's just fine for the team score and for the run rate to let wides go, you will, of course, most batters will be conscious. Well, I want to get bat on ball. I want to be hitting some boundaries. And the problem is when the bad balls are so bad that you can just leave them for one. As you say, that concentration can just go, especially when the surprise good ball comes along, and suddenly your wickets can be lying on the floor. 92 for 2 is the score at the drinks break. I'm going to take a sip of water myself. Be back with you in a couple of minutes. And we're back live with you at C-Barn. So we resume the second half of this innings, and there's that busy running from Joanne Stiglitz. Stealing a single there, bringing Cepeda back on strike. As Austria bear down on 3 figures. There'll be another one there. And it's another case of perhaps the field just being a little bit too deep to make life difficult for the batters. As Ananya Singh runs back to her mark. Ready for another go. And although that was in the air, it was completely safe because mid-off is miles deep. And another single, so the ones keep on coming for Austria as we embark on the second half of the innings. We do not have stats readily available to hand, but it feels like there have been fewer boundaries and more singles so far, but with plenty of wides to also keep the scoreboard ticking. That's going to be a no ball on height. So that's a 1 that's actually a 2, if you know what I mean. And of course, it's free hit time. And that's a wide, so the free hit will be re-bowled, as it were. And we do at last have a third fielder out in the deep. A little bit in no man's land again, as we've referred to earlier today when Austria were fielding. Sort of 3/4 of the way to the rope at square leg, but be that as it may, it's outside the ring. Nearly picks out the fielder there, but it wouldn't have counted because it was a free hit.
And from the scorer's office, we've just learned that there have been 32 wides bowled so far. So that's a third of the Austrian innings total coming from extras. Make it 33. But don't be disheartened or annoyed about these wides and no balls, because lacking match practice and no practice in the middle or little practice in the middle of any innings or of any ground especially, you cannot simulate being tired from fielding 50 overs or 30 overs and then having to bowl and then not bowl any wides. This is only learned in matches, and this is the second ever T20 international for Belgium, so this has to be expected and excused as well. And a nice shot played from Joanne Stiglitz, and goes for 4. So she's certainly enjoying herself in the middle today with Andrea Cepeda.
I really just would like to see a few more fielders up there, and that could have been very interesting for a standard mid-on saving 1 from what we could see here. And it's not as though we're seeing massive aggression from the batters. What they're doing is exactly what they can do with this field, which is take ones all the time. And if you take 6 singles from every ball you can hit with the bat, and they bowl you another 3 wides, you've got 9 and over. And you're doing very well for yourself, and you say thank you very much.
And Austria, as it stands now, at 105 for 2 wickets down, 11 overs down, and in comes to bowl the number 24, Zara Sands. That's right arm off-ish deliveries, so she will be an off-spinning option here against Joanne Stiglitz. And Joanne has a hit. There is a single here, and Joanne makes Andrea Mazepeda rush through for a single, and there was no need for that rush because the single would have rather been taken easily had she taken off earlier.
Which is pretty much the case for all running in cricket. But it's easier said than done. And strange things go through people's minds when they're out in the middle. We've all been there. And there does seem to have been a bit of a tactical change here because now almost everyone is in. Well, closer to the ring. Yeah, there's a lot of people hovering between the ring and the rope. Not quite sure how many are in and aren't. You'd probably need a drone view of the field to say for sure from where we're sitting. But there is a slightly more claustrophobic field to the circle around the batters at the moment. But the fact is, it's pretty porous in terms of giving up singles at the moment. And there's just no need for them to play an aggressive, risky shot. Hence, the partnership's building.
Yeah, Joanne Stiglitz is making everybody rush through that 22 yards. I enjoy exactly watching these kind of innings. And we're currently already 11 runs for Joanne Stiglitz of 10 deliveries. And those might be another 4 for her, which, yep, and the ball is past the boundary, 4 runs. Joanne Stiglitz now moves to 16 of 12 deliveries. And Andrea Mazepeda in at 39 of 37. So certainly a healthy partnership currently going on. Whatever the numbers are, we are not able to provide you just yet. But rest assured, we will have them.
So, if we're not mistaken, the previous wicket fell with a score on 78, and these two have, just by mostly knocking it around, taken their partnership on to almost 40 now, and looking very comfortable together. We did say it was a moment for Belgium to strike, the moment where they could stop the slide in this innings and keep it under control. Well, that was just a couple of overs ago, but it already feels like they have not seized that moment. Suraj?
And running by knocking around is certainly the case here again. Field rather defensively, set up to save the 4, then save the 1. But these two batters currently happy with taking singles. And another wide called from the umpire. We must be close to 40 wides right now. Yeah, it's the skipper Trupp bowling the 13th over. And Steglitz on strike against Trupp. And just guides it to backward point. And a good single taken again. So this is certainly the case with Austria. No rush at all. They're in no hurry. They're happy to just rotate the strike whenever needed, but also go for the big hits whenever there is a chance for that.
There's another 4 disappearing into the long grass at the cover boundary, as in the far, far distance. A cyclist, or possibly a motorcyclist, drifts lazily along the road, heading out of Seebarn and into the next village, whose name currently escapes me. We are deep. Well, not that deep, but it feels like we're quite deep in the Austrian countryside out here at Seebarn. And it's that kind of afternoon where you cycle lazily across roads, maybe even pull out of your run-up sometimes. We'll go again. Captain to former captain. And there have been a couple of very respectable deliveries in this over. Which Tepeda has just seen off. This one gets a bit more on it, and I think that's going to head off much to the same part of the boundary rope for the second boundary of the over. Which has now been completed. Takes us to 126 for the loss of 2. So 127 for 2 after 13 overs. I suppose it might be time for us to start thinking about, okay, so Andrea May, having scored a century earlier today, is 2 away from a 50, according to the scores we're currently seeing, with Zara Sands ball in hand. And that is one of the less good deliveries we've seen today. Doesn't trouble the pitch. Andrea May, of course, at the non-striker's end. But the way these two have been rotating the strike, she won't be long before she's down the other end. We've now got almost 2 mid-offs in the deep, or a very deep straight cover maybe. This is going to go all the way. I should suggest it does just trickle over the rope. So 4 more to Joanne Stiglitz, who's been scoring at a very sprightly rate since coming in. Both of them going along at more than a run a ball, of course, as you would always hope in a T20 international. And although we didn't have the massive first wicket partnership that we saw in the first innings, this is once again a very good foundation from which to go. And there again is an example of that great running between these two.
Joanne Stiglitz now easily in her 20s, while Cepeda is in her 40s, just too shy of that half century again. So this could be one of the better days for her batting today. We do have still and that was certainly a chance, and there was a catching opportunity here. Just maybe the sun, and it was pretty much in the angle of the ball coming onto her, and the sun might have been distracting a little bit here from the ball. So Andrea lives on to see her 50 maybe happening. Meanwhile, Joanne Stieglitz on strike, and Sarah Sanz into the bowling. And Andrea now quickly between the wickets. Both of them nicely running. They've now seen that the field has been pushed out a little bit. The scoring areas are tightened up slightly, so happy with pushing the ball around and just going one run at a time. Certainly not a wrong shout here, especially with a possible 50 just on the horizon. And there's another wide called from the umpire. He certainly likes to stretch his arms today. Sarah Sanz might be struggling with her line today as well. In the second match, everybody is, to be honest, struggling with the lines. It will be interesting to see how Austria fares in their second match, because the long day and the heat will, of course, be very tiring. And with that, Andrea May moves on to 53. That's her second 50 for the day. Raises the bat to the stands, to the Austrian camp. And the Austrian camp celebrates her just as it did in the first match. Fantastic task by Andrea May Cepeda. 50 runs. And the 50 have come with a strike rate of somewhere above the 120s, 125s.
And there's just no let up as she bludgeons another one to the deep, and some tired fielders don't really manage to get their bodies in the way of that one. And 49 very quickly became 57 there, those two boundaries. She's now got a total of 9 fours. So more than half the runs coming in boundaries so far. And it's been well done. As we mentioned earlier, there's been a test of patience at times, watching the wides go by, but still being switched on enough to hit the bad balls that are not wides and middle them even when you've not really felt bat on ball, possibly for 2 or 3 balls in a row. It's one of the more unique challenges of cricket at some levels. And she has handled that very well. Joanne Stieglitz back on strike. This one has gone in the air. It is going to the fielder, but just bounces short. As Ananya Singh runs back to her mark, which is her way of doing things at the check end. Fielder coming across from off to leg side now. We've got 5 on the leg side. We're seeing some active looking at where the fielders are placed for the first time really today, as if there's a sense of occasion about this ball. Is there? Well, a direct hit would have been interesting there, but in the end, for once we were at a good angle, and you could see that missed by some margin.
And between every delivery now, or rather between the batters changing ends, there is a big change of field going on. Let's see if that really pays off, or is it just another one of these things that Belgium likes to try out now. And a nicely hit from Stieglitz, another nice and calm single taken. So these two are certainly tiring themselves a bit with running between the wickets, and they're running hard between the wickets, which is, of course, always nice to see. Running between the wickets is definitely one of those things that I enjoy the most about cricket.
Let's hear you say that when you're 40 plus. I personally wish I could hit more boundaries and had to do less running, but that's easier said than done. But yes, it's whatever your age, it's hard work out there at the moment, especially if you're wearing the trademark long sleeves of Andrea Cepeda. He makes half an attempt to hit that one, but it's called for a wide. So all's well that ends well from her perspective. 3 fielders out in the deep, 2 straight, 1 at square leg. Again, a stolen single. And as far as the catching for Belgium has been concerned, it's hard to criticize on your first day of international cricket, but if you had to pick something, there have been a couple where it's looked like the fielder hasn't really quite wanted to get there, running in. And again, I think it's somewhere we've all been as club cricketers as well. But nonetheless noticeable from the sidelines. There have been maybe 1 or 2 opportunities where really following through and getting under it, rather than letting it bounce in front of you, would give you a chance of pouching the wicket. So neatly enough, exactly 150 is the score with 2 wickets down and exactly 5 overs to go, which makes it a pretty good moment for us to start talking about whether we think Austria are going to go past the 187 that they made off the bat this morning before penalty runs, which we're still hearing, be an issue at the end of this innings. But looking just at what was scored off the bat, how far do you think they can go? Can they go 1 or 7 or 12 better this afternoon?
As long as Cepeda and Stieglitz are in, I will put money on 200 even. I think 200 is certainly in the reaches of these two if they stay in, and another wide being called. So we have 152 for now. So we're on 52 for 2 after 15 overs, and Stieglitz is at 29, Cepeda is 59. So this is certainly a possibility that they can go for 10 and over here, and there is no big need to accelerate into any crazy shots. Just whatever they've been doing so far, exactly what we've seen now, a boundary, and that's 6 runs off the over already, and we are 3 balls in. So another 4, and you're at 160, and another 10, another 10, another 10, and so on. So 200 is certainly possible from this point of the play.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is more likely than not, especially when you throw a few wides in there, which will give them a few extra balls. There is the distinct possibility that neither of these two get out before the end. Well, I have to apologize there to Andrea Cepeda because for the second time today she's bowled. But it's all my fault because I just said there was a good chance they don't go out before the end of the innings. And that has split up the partnership, and that has probably diminished the chances of them reaching 200. That said, Malik is very competent with the bat. She's walking in now, and the hope will still be there as long as she can stay in with Joanne Stieglitz, who's having a nice swig of water as they get set for the last push in this innings. I still think it would be really nice if they could get past that 198 that the Germans put on them on an even hotter day last summer. There'd be something poetic in that.
Although, to be fair, on that delivery that Andrea chopped onto her stumps, there was some sort of there was a sense of something's going to happen here. As she was in a crease, I think she was just eyeing in that ball. Baseball kind of a stance already, the bat high up, the legs ready to go. And yeah, chopping onto your stumps is never a nice thing. But, you know, she had a fun today. That was a lot of runs scored. 164 runs scored in a day. Some Test cricketers would like to do that. And certainly a brilliant batting day for Andrea May. And we've witnessed since the entrance of Malika, now 2 wides already, and now Malika is off the strike and off the mark as well. Makes her first run, and it's overcalled. Again, 11 runs I think of this over came, so we are inching in closer to that 200 mark.
And again, it's the point about the wides, isn't it? As much as you talk about bringing the field in and making sure the batter doesn't get off strike early on, a new batter also has some of the pressure taken off them when they see a couple of wides fly past, and they know they need to get runs for the team, and the runs are happening automatically. That's it's just the most basic thing that will have to be tightened up on for tomorrow. And let's remember that there is a third and final game in this series at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning at Seebahn. Will be streamed online as well. And if you're anywhere close to Vienna or the eastern bit of Austria, come along. It's supposed to be another nice day tomorrow. We'll have a relaxed Sunday morning international T20. Whatever happens today, both teams will have had a good night's rest and chance to think about things. And who knows how different things might look tomorrow.
Malika seemed almost disgusted with the second run not taken in this case. However, Joanne makes sure that there is a second run here. They run hard. Yeah, Joanne comes back home for the second and moves to 31 with that. Malika as well, already 2 of 2. So this is a handy start for this inning, for her inning. And of this over, we're already 4 runs in. Certainly also Austrian batters making sure that the runs keep on flowing, not too fussed about having to stop anytime soon, and they're just aware what and when to do. And another quick single here. Sarah Sands also rather keeping it tight this time. Not too fancy, but also nothing too crazy, and with that, easily making sure that the runs are kept to a minimum. Just 4 runs coming off the over so far. We have 3 deliveries in. And that's a wide. Called a wide. And apologizes to her fellow players. I thought she's Belgian or Canadian.
Yeah, I've heard Canadians are good at saying sorry. I always thought the British were the world champions at that, as we see a convincing boundary and applause from, among others, Joanne Stiglitz at the non-striker's end. She was impressed with that. As Malika gets going. Very capable player with ball and bat, one of the more senior players in the Austrian team. 40 years old, I'm told. Another one wanders a little too far down leg. And that's one closer to the 200 mark. We'll see in a minute if she got anything on that. Didn't look like it from here. Umpire says nothing much at all. So must have been possibly a glove on that as it went round the corner. Another run to Malika. No question that that came off the bat, and probably would have gone all the way if it weren't for the fielder doing her part. Stiglitz applauds the running as the over comes to an end. The total on 174. And 3 overs to be bowled.
So 174 off the bat. The guys, the players in the middle now, of course, already thinking about the end of this match. 3 overs to go. We have the opener coming in back again. We have Anja Bersto bowling from the check end, marking her run up. So how much energy does she have left in her tank? How much more can she go? And the ball being bowled to Malika at the counts end. Of course, 26 runs away from the big 2-0-0. I think there was a slight wobble in the run-up here. Could there be a catch? Yes, and she holds on to that. That's the wicket down. Malika goes for 6 or 7 runs scored. And the Belgian fielders are ecstatic about that catch. They are, of course, celebrating that. And Shweta Sinha took that catch brilliantly. Was high in the air, was long time in the air, but she made sure it stuck in her hands and brilliantly taken.
Absolutely, plenty of pressure there for Shweta in the field. And do you know what? I would have put my money on that being dropped this morning, the way I saw the fielding practice before and the way the fielding unfolded for Belgium during the match. And I'd say that's one thing already, just on the basis of that catch, that has improved in the afternoon match. That'll give them a lot of confidence. That one being taken by the vice-captain, Shweta Sinha, and you can see how much that lifted the team, and it might just give them the energy they need to come home. And it's a mini collapse, I guess you could say, from the Austrians. 4 down now. The inaccurate day or afternoon for Anja Bersto continues. Like some of her teammates, also enjoys sprinting back to her mark. So no question marks on the energy and commitment there. Coming in off the full run at the moment. They won't push for a second there. Haji van Bulla, I believe, that will be on strike now for Austria, taking guard down at the count end.
One of the more hit the ball, take the single players from the Austrian squad. We shall see how her plan today comes into fruition. Drops it dead. Solidly defended. Needs to get her eye in first, then start to accelerate. There is no hurry today. We are 175, 176 already in, and judging by the time extra taken, I reckon with the extra runs, with the penalty runs, that is certainly a target of above 200 to chase.
Well, it's a bit of an unconvincing push at that one, but I guess the important thing at this stage is it brings Joanne Stiglitz back onto strike. So we work our way through the second half of this 18th over. Four fielders in the deep now. Boundaries are being protected. And that one follows Stiglitz. Unusual delivery. Bairstow giving the ball a good polish. He likes to look after it. Well, maybe she made it a bit too slippery with that one because, well, the umpire's just checking what's what and finally settles on a no ball and a free hit, which will be, well, music to Joanne Stiglitz's ears.
And that is a brilliantly bowled free hit. Bairstow follows through with her outside off delivery, and the free hit not going for runs this time. A dot ball. Just 4 runs coming off this over. And a wicket on to show for the 4 runs. So all in all, one of the better Belgian overs today. Bairstow are generally one of the better bowlers that we've seen today. So that's 18 overs down, 178. And we have 2 overs in front of us. And we need to now have a look where and how the next 2 overs are being placed and played. Buller on strike for this one, for the 19th over. And in for bowl is still Zara Sanz. And bowls are wide. It's 179 for 4. And Zara Sanz has been one of the players that have had most game time today, I would say, along with a captain. She's bowled her 4 overs quota as well. There's a loud shout for how was that? I think the umpire will say not out.
There was a noise, but I don't think it was bat on ball. Umpires having a chat together now. Not sure if it would be to do with timing or something else. Timing, the recurring issue today. Sands, as you say, yes, has had plenty of responsibility out in the middle today with the bat. Has played a very long innings as well in Belgium's unsuccessful chase this morning of 198. And the volume's just gone up. They've had a lift from a couple of wickets, the Belgians, and they're looking to just push home here, enjoying the fact that Stiglitz is not on strike. But they just need to stop bowling wide. And could this be another? Yes, it will be. As they keep doing that, they're going to concede just a few more than they did this morning without the batters having to do anything. And yet you just want to see those fielders come in a little bit more as well with a batter on strike that you want to keep down there. Anything on the offside could be dropped into that cover region and off you go. or even point region, because the fielders are so deep. And now, of course, you've got the dangerous Stiglitz on strike, which is exactly the opposite of what you want. With just over and over to go. Big swing and a miss on that one. And that's a victory to the bowler. And the Belgian bowlers will take as many of those as they can get. They've had their share of defeats today, must be said. Bat on ball that time, but well fielded off her own bowling by Zara Sands.
It appears that there is some sort of missing link or a missing script for the death overs for Austrian batters. They have struggled in the first match, they're struggling a little bit now. I think dropping it dead and then just running is a viable strategy for now. And that will be hit into mid-wicket area and 2 runs easily taken again. So Buller and Stieglitz are one of the better runners as well. They like to run a lot. And they just put that on display right now, that it is something that they are rather keen on doing.
And Stiglitz has found that colossal gap on the offside in the cover region, and it's going to help herself to another couple. She's going to, oh, she really would be keen for the third as this over winds down and comes to a close. So that does leave Buller on strike for the start of the last over. Score 186 for the loss of 4. 1 over to go.
So with 186, we are looking at a penalty of 10 or 15 runs here. And with 15 runs, the Belgian side would have to chase 200 and something runs, which, going by the first inning or for the first match, is certainly a steep task for them to ask. But we will be certainly keen to see how they plan out the second match today, and if and how they are going to plan the chase for the second match. It's the skipper bowling in for the final over. Starts with a wide. And there are shouts of everybody be ready for a catch. But I think these two have rather looked more keen for runs and for running between the wickets. Trupp starting her over again after the wide. Brings it in, has a go at it, but Stieglitz declines the run, and rightfully so. Don't think there was a run.
Well, you mentioned some possible areas for improvement at the death for Austria. The good news is they've done so much good work up front that the death hasn't been critical. And there will probably... No, Stieglitz is happy to take the 2 here. And with so many on the board, why not? You've already pretty much crushed the opposition in the first 10 to 14 overs. You can almost get away with perhaps not the perfectly executed death. And Austria will certainly go into the afternoon as massive favourites to defend whatever it is ultimately going to be. Somewhere north of 200, we reckon, once any time-related penalties are applied, which we believe are to be expected.
Another one for Buller. Drives it nicely. Topish and they want to chase 2 again and reach home for 2. And that is another handsomely 2 for the Austrian side. And I think Trupp is already having a look at bringing in the fielder from long off on the circle for exactly these kind of shots and to have him catch. Catches are definitely on the menu here today, but with the field being pushed out, you're not going to catch any of these deliveries. And another single from Buller, yeah, makes it home. And Stieglitz on for the last ball. Was hit on the back, but she doesn't mind. She's been hit worse.
Like water off the proverbial duck's back, that was. She wasn't bothered at all. The main thing and the only important thing was she was in her ground and nobody could run her out. She will not want to be dismissed right at the end here. Wasn't too sure where that had ended up, but it's going to produce a single. Which So 194 the score, 4 down, 1 ball remaining if there's no wide. And the field is now Mr. Suraj being brought in for the last ball of the innings. And look who is helping themselves too. Will it? I think it's going to pull up. It is going to pull up. Well, I think they got 3 there, did they not? So 197, I make that at the end of the innings, plus any penalty runs that may be added. We'll have news of anything along those lines when we come back after the innings break. But it's safe to say that it's another good afternoon's work done by the Austrians, and they will enjoy their mid-match pause and be ready to defend, and certainly will be doing so as favourites for the second time today. When they come out after the break, we'll see you in time for that. Welcome back to Seebahn in Lower Austria for the last session of the second Women's T20 International today, as Belgium chased the almost impossible target of 213. Why 213 when the last time we spoke to you, Austria had made 197? Well, that's because 15 penalty runs were added as a result of slow play. No doubt the number of wides bowled by the Belgians had a role to play in that. But it is what it is. Rules are rules. And the upshot of it all after the 15 penalty runs is that Austria have a bit more to play with, more even than they had this morning. And that was more than enough. 213 is the target. Valentina Avdulai has the ball in hand. And we do have also a change at the top of the order for Belgium, which doesn't completely surprise me after a slightly pedestrian effort at the top, it must be said, this morning by Zara Sands. She has been replaced at the top of the order by Anya Bairstow. Unchanged as opener taking strike now is the captain, Nicola Thrupp.
And he's already tested with a rather flighted delivery and manages to get some bat onto the ball and straight to the field in gully point-ish region. It has to be said that this time around, I'm hoping for a better fielding effort from the Austrian side. I'm also hoping that there's a rather change of fielding plans compared to the first game. And once again, a brilliant ball, just slightly outside of, more towards the middle, and we would have had our first LBW shot probably. Yeah, changes on top of the order are definitely something that Belgium should be playing around with. Any difference that a new batter makes on top is a change rather accepted and expected. Good backing up as well from the Austrian fielding effort. This time it's Nisha backing up behind the bowler's end, and Valentina Avdulai looking sharp as ever on top.
Not her finest effort there. So one less to the immense mountain faced by Belgium here. Interesting, as we noted that in the power play and pretty much throughout the outside, the ring fielders were long on and long off. For Belgium, they are square where Austria is concerned, which is something we did suggest might be an idea earlier on if you wanted to change something up. And you've got sort of a sweeper in place, and you've got square leg on the boundary from the Austrian skipper Gandali. We've had our fair share of criticism today, I think, of both captains with their field placing, to be fair. But one thing that's already noticeable is that you can't scamper quick singles so easily to the Austrians, and that's just purely because the ring is that little bit tighter on the one.
Yes, we are indeed today armchair experts without armchairs. And just giving our 2 cents on the field settings from both teams. And again here, good shot from the Belgium skipper van Thrupp. And the ball goes to square leg where Andrea Meisepeda is placed. And she just rather calmly collects it and throws it back. So Belgium, 2 off the first over, 1 off the bat, 1 wide. And Thrupp makes sure that she has a strike for the second over from this time the check end. And the new bowler for Austria is going to be Malika.
Respectfully defended away there as Malika seems to be on the mark with that first delivery. Sent down a fair share of wides in the first match this morning. Should be looking to cut down on that number today. It's all about the bowlers keeping their concentration and discipline. Deep down, they're going to know that they're probably going to be fine defending this total. But everybody's got to have their personal goals and targets and things that they want to improve in this rare chance to get match practice. Because if you don't have those little things to aim for, that's when you can completely lose concentration and end up letting the opposition chase 213 after all. But again, it's a very understated start from the Belgian batting side. The change at the top of the order has been made, but we don't know what sort of effect it's had yet because Anya Bairstow has not yet had a ball to face. That should have been about to change, but they're going to get a second now due to the misfield, or will they get a? Has that gone? Umpire's not sure. Umpire is not signalling for. So Thrupp remains on strike. Good length there from Malika. Slip in place with Bushra occupying that position as earlier on today. This one will be one for the wides column, and she'll have to bowl that again. So as the second over comes to a close, it looks like Anya Bairstow, as we're calling her today, although it is very interestingly spelled B-E-A-I-R-S-T-O, so we're probably pronouncing it wrong, but I'm going with the Johnny pronunciation. Good Yorkshire name. And she is now going to get on strike for the first time in this reply from Belgium, taking guard down there at the count end. And has a look around the field, has a look at the bowler, who is Valentina Avdolai, ready to send down her second over. A little bit of a fish there. Looked like it was a good delivery. The sort of delivery you want to send down to a new batsperson or batter. Now, how many of those can she string together? Because her best deliveries are really good. That's another dot ball. So far, we've seen fewer of the high full tosses from her. The really, really floaty ones that get slightly out of control. It's been a steady start to the second innings from her. And her captain will be looking for more of the same. Keep on hitting the pitch. Just like that. Won't be a dot ball, but still a good result for the bowler.
And Bushra making sure the batters are aware that she will hit the stump straight. So rather not test or tempt any doubtable or doubtful singles in her area where she's standing. But still, This is a slow start from Belgium once again, but up top the first couple of overs, you can take your time and you can start and then have a look where you would want to place the balls and where you want to place your shots. But you would have to start playing your shots rather soon for in a T20 environment, and that is a no ball. And of course, a free hit's going to follow suit. Valentina Advilay running in, and this time a better shot will be caught, and is a free hit catch once again. And only one aware of that is the umpire, and has to be said, good catch.
Yeah, very good catch. Fielder was celebrating. Well taken by Malika after a little juggle, but unfortunately it's not going to count. And to be fair to you, my learned colleague, you were also aware that it was a free hit. So easy to forget. Well done. Abdullah will have to try again. Hitting the deck again. And as you see, as we've said, when she hits the deck, it's hard to play. She's just got to eliminate that one that somehow slips out of the hand wrong, and then she'll be able to build some real pressure. We can't tell from this angle if she's got the ball swinging or not, but she is in the habit of doing so. Not at all convincing down at the batter's end, but they scamper through for one. We got out of the habit of talking about run rates and interim targets and so on in the first game because the target was just so impossibly far off for Belgium, and there doesn't seem to be any point in talking about them just yet in the second game with just 8 on the board after 3 overs. It's, again, not exactly the start you'd want. It's very good not having lost any wickets, but we have seen a little bit more intent. We saw at least off the free hit, we saw a little bit more intent. And Malika, it will be to continue for over number 4. And I think that goes down as a drop, does it not? We heard an edge from all the way over here on the boundary.
Yeah, the bucks are flowing into that Austrian catches dropped bank. The keeper must be frustrated with herself. That was straight to her into the basket. Well, another one will be shortly in. And this time around, Bairstow makes sure to not place it exactly into the keeper's basket once again. Lightning might never struck twice, so in that case, the shot played toward the covers region. Although the covers seem to be rather empty today. Just one fielder in the covers. We have 2 behind square. And another swing and a miss. This has been... Sorry, these 3 deliveries have been the best 3 deliveries I've seen this match. Malika making sure she hits the deck, the ball nips away, and straight through the batter to the keeper. One more time, and a good delivery again. And a direct hit once again. So, once again, making the batters aware, do not try this at home.
Yeah, you can feel the pressure building in this over, can't you? And the fact that there hasn't been a wide in recent memory adds to that. And you've got a batter who's been promoted to the top of the order and still looking to get going. This is the time to go in for the kill. You imagine if she keeps putting it outside off stump or on off stump. And there is the release because that one's called wide. Nonetheless, I think Anya Bairstow might want to go and buy a lottery ticket tonight because any day that you get dropped by a keeper, certainly got to be your day to some degree. She hasn't had a great day with the ball. So there's another flail, and she's just inviting the edge at the moment in the face of what is some very good bowling by the looks of it. It must be said. Keeps that one out a little more convincingly. An over is called. Was it just the wide in that over? I think there wasn't much off it. As Valentina Avdullah gets set for another one, number 8. And Austria continue to look for the breakthrough in this reply. Run rate is not a concern from their perspective, but it's hot out there and there's nothing to lift you like a wicket.
Said and done. Number 13 for Austria. Joanne Stiglitz shouts before the ball, jeden Ball meters, jeden Ball. That means every ball goes, every ball. Stop it at all cost. The next ball straight to her, stops at all cost. And a stingy throwback to the bowler. And the batter not again happy with the thigh pad situation. Just getting rid of that. You know, every time that I haven't worn a thigh pad, I've taken some blue spots on my thighs back home from my training.
Well, my advice to you would be to use the wooden thing to hit the ball with, and you'll be fine. Now, we've all had our share of blue spots, but yeah, I'd rather take them than bothering with the thigh pad. It's too many straps for me, and I think it slows me down when I'm running, and I'm slow enough already. So I'll rather sign up for the pain. It makes you watch the ball closer when you know you can get hit.
Wise words from the old man. So kids, listen up. Don't waste your time with any pads. Make sure you just hit the ball. So do it baseball style. Who needs knee pads? Although, are they a mandatory requirement to wear? What does the MCC say about that?
As far as I'm aware, and I may be wrong on this, there's nothing mandatory about any protective equipment in cricket. The only thing I am aware of is that for juniors up to a certain age, at least in England, and I think in most countries, a helmet is required, and the age possibly varies in different countries. Not entirely sure where the cutoff is on that. As we see a really, really big full toss, which is going to be called, so although it went up in the air, would not have been a legitimate catch. And the partnership continues. I won't say it continues to grow, although technically it is, but only very slowly. Now, do we have... has Valentina been taken out of the attack here? I think that's what's happened. Is the second time that we've seen that today. It's for the waist high no ball. I'm told that if this is bowled a couple of times, the umpires can take you out of the attack. Hence, Joanne Stiglitz coming in from mid-off to complete this over.
And this might be cut again. And again, forgot that it's a free hit. Smack it back. Yeah, there we go. Backing up. So this has been a strange case of Austrian cricket and no balls today. We had 3 no balls. We had more of course, more than 3 no balls. But of the 3 free hits where there was a ball in the air and was caught, we had 3 celebrations today already. And you would suggest a third time is a charm. But I think it started to sicker in slowly that a no ball is followed by a free hit. And Andrea May Cepeda cuts it off at fine leg and throws it firmly back to the keeper. Just a single instead of 4 runs. So rather well done on that front.
Yeah, it must be a bit of a shock to be suddenly called up to finish somebody else's over, and even the pretty calm Stiglitz dropped that first one pretty short. But it would have been a cheeky wicket had it not been a free hit. And that over is finally completed. So if I understand correctly, Valentina Avdolai will call it a day now on 2-point-something overs. And Austria may have to look to other bowling options, possibly more overs for Stiglitz than we saw in the first innings. Just while we're on the discussion of watching the ball closely, I really do think there's something in it this summer when I was playing in England. Just to give a silly club cricket example, I hurt my hand and nearly didn't go out to bat in the second innings, and was convinced to have a go, even though I only had one hand, and was surprised to find that I could actually middle a few batting with just my right hand, admittedly not with any very quick bowling. But I was amazed at how closely I watched the ball just because I had that disability, and found it something quite nice to use for warm-up routines, at least for future games, and possibly taking some of your protection away can have a similar effect. It's just my theory.
Yeah, certainly. Removing some of your protection clothing can have some positive aspects to it. Watching the ball closely, certainly one of those. Generally, wear a helmet, wear a lower guard, and wear some leg pads if you can. Gloves, I would also suggest. Rest is rather voluntary. And for me personally, even if I face spin bowling, a helmet is always on top of my head. Because the melon needs some protection.
Especially when it's so full of good ideas as yours is. But remember, even when you're facing a spinner, you can top edge a sweep straight into your nose. And then you feel very silly if you don't have a helmet on. But sometimes I do feel it's worth the risk on a really hot day, because there's nothing like batting in a cap. It's just a great feeling. Just ask Nicola Thrupp down there in the non-striker's end, as Andrea Cepeda is proceeding with her first over of the afternoon. She's done more than enough for the Austrian team already with a century and a 50 today, but wouldn't a wicket or two just round it off brilliantly as the Belgians take advantage of a big gap in the covers there. Grab one. But singles ain't going to do it right now.
Right, so bring you the match update anyway. Maybe if you're still with us, it's 17 runs for Belgium after 5.4 overs currently. So the Austrian bowling is almost through the power play, and Belgium is at 18 runs as it stands. And on strike, of course, is the Belgian captain Thrupp. Non-striker's end is Anja Berstow. And Andrea Cepeda runs in for the 5th delivery of this over. And it is a rather good delivery as well. And stopped at fine leg. And a quick single taken.
So, change of bowling, I think, down here at the Czech Republic end of the ground, or is there an examination of the ball? Okay, so it's the tall Shriya Reddy with ball in hand now. Exciting young bowler, Shriya. I'm told she's actually still at school. So just keep that in mind, lest you want to be too critical of anything. We're dealing with a lot of very young players and very inexperienced players in this match from both teams. Much as Austria are dominating. Glad to report that some of the sting has now gone out of the sun as we move into the late afternoon, sitting here in its fullest beams. It'll get a little bit more pleasant for the Austrian fielders. And it's gone far enough down leg to be called wide. And apart from that, an uneventful over so far.
But you can sense that even the heat and just the day's worth of cricket is also getting to the Austrian girls. They are already trying to motivate each other and doing well doing that. We're sitting currently at 23 runs for the Belgians with 13-ish overs still to come. So we have plenty of time ahead of us to get through this run chase. But I'm afraid we don't have enough batting prowess to push us through this run chase. And Austria is still struggling to strike a first blow to this Belgian batting lineup. And another brilliant dot ball bowled here from Reddy. 23 for no loss, Belgium. And slightly off the line again. Wide called by the umpire. So just to put things into perspective, we have 10 of 23 for Trupp. We have 5 of 19 for Bersto. And Belgium at 24. So that means that 9 runs of the 25 have come in form of extras.
Reddy, who made her international debut in the recent series away to Italy for Austria, which Austria won by 3 games to 2. And she impressed already in that series with her abilities at a very young age. She actually took 2 for 11 in excellent 3-over spell in the 4th of those internationals as Austria dismissed Italy for 73 and went on to win very, very comfortably. And picked up a wicket in the final game as well. So she's on a good trajectory since that Italian tour. And learning a ton with every bowl she bowls out there. Or every ball she bowls out there. Apologies, blame it on the sun. Cepeda continues, opening up with a wide from the Count's end. We refer, of course, to Count Wilczek, who's been a supporter of Austrian cricket. He owns not only a large property, well, most of the property surrounding this field and the field itself, and leasing it out to the Austrian cricket community through the Vienna Cricket Club for some years now, some decades now, actually. Also played cricket himself when he was at school in Switzerland, so an unusual story for Austrian nobility. Also owns a castle that we can see on a hilltop in the distance from where we're sitting. There's going to be a couple here. I thought there should have been, and there would easily have been a couple. But they've settled for the one as the opening pair keeps it extremely low risk with the running, amongst other things. And it's really just a waiting game here. Less than 200 to go. But that's about all you can say about the chase so far. Another one to the total.
Another single taken, and this time it's Bairstow taking the single. So Belgium currently at 31, and they still require 182 runs off the next 74 deliveries. Certainly would be entertaining to see that happen. Just not sure how realistic that wish is that I have. And Andrea Cepeda goes into her stride, back to the run-up. A capo. And a really good delivery this time. Bairstow has a go at it, just cannot connect. And the ball goes straight through to Gantali, to the keeper. And that's another end of the over. 32 runs. And we have number 10 ready, preparing herself, one would assume. No, it's Chamunda, number 31, into the attack. So the slow right arm. No, again, change of plans. Ready stays on the attack and will bowl into the rover. And one would assume that the slow arm deliveries will be coming in soon enough. Belgium, 32 for no loss, 12 overs to go, 72 balls. That means for 181 runs. But one thing that Belgium has going for them is they have still 10 wickets in hand.
Is that about to become 9? Well, the fielder did not look altogether convincing trying to get under that ball. So 10 wickets in hand it remains. And that's a really clear chance that has gone astray. Nisha Nukala unable to claim that one. Well picked up there by Malika. That's at mid-on, slightly deep mid-on, not quite long on. Little bit no man's land. But we'll lay off criticizing the Austrian field positions at this point because I don't think it matters too much where they're placed in a chase like this.
Yes, indeed. It's as the wise Joey Tribbiani once said, it's a cow's point. It's all moo.
I think I need to catch up on that episode again. But what a good idea that is. Well, there it is again, a bit of aggression, or an attempt at aggression. Just a bit of an advance, a bit of flamboyant footwork from Anya. But she doesn't manage to put bat to ball. And the overs tick by. Not too long till the drinks break now.
Yes, we have 11 point something overs remaining. And Reddy brings in another one. A quick one this time. And a good shout this time. And also good throw at the stumps. But the batters comfortably in the creases. Bairstow making it back to the crease rather comfortably. And Trupp never in any danger. So that's 11.1 overs remaining. Good delivery from Reddy this time. Finishes the over with a dot ball. And with that, Belgium 36 for no loss. Sorry, 37 for no loss. Skoka just refreshed. And Austria still without any dent in the Belgium batting lineup. It's 9 overs down, 37 for no loss.
Well, with 9 of 25 for Anya, you can say that it has been a success to a degree, the change at the top of order. And although that is quite slow, it is quicker than what we had earlier from Zara at the top of the order from Zara Sands. So a slight, very slight improvement in strike rate from the replacement at the top of the order. I think it's good to try different combinations, and we may see another combination tried tomorrow in the third of these Women's T20 internationals. At the moment, it looks very much like Austria will be going into that third game 2-0 up in the series. As Sauch comes in from the count's end. And unfortunately, well off target with that one. Time to bowl it again. This will be the last over before the drinks break. And she's coming over the wicket now with the left arm action. I thought the umpire was going to let that go, but indeed not. That is a wide. That's better. That's better.
Yes, so in the match break, we did have a little chat. Suchamunda and I were just discussing exactly that she would like to be a bit quicker, but I think that exactly the pace that she has is her big benefit, because the slow pace does tempt the batters to be a bit quicker through their shots than they would like to be. And with that, she opens herself for some wicket possibilities and wicket options, which she usually wouldn't have. Like that one, just a drop, but a run out. And with that, Bairstow departs for a run out. That was a dropped catch, but the ball was just handed back to Sonu Chamundaya, and she took off the base in all comfort. She had all the time in the world and did that wisely so.
Yeah, and with that breakthrough from the Austrians, I believe that is the drinks break. So we'll grab a swig of water. Join us in a couple of minutes for the continuation of this Belgian run chase. So we're ready to rock again after that slightly comical run out off a drop that concluded the first pre-drink session today. They're still finishing that 10th over. And this single will bring the new batter, Anandita Pramanik, that's the wicketkeeper for Belgium, onto strike. And I must say, it's good to see some new batters in action and have a look at what they can do with still another game to be played tomorrow, even if the result here is already something of a foregone conclusion. And it's all just getting a little bit Mickey Mouse out there at the moment. Everyone's a bit hot and tired. But Austria still need another 9 wickets if they want an early shower. Sauj Chamundaya currently entrusted with taking him. Yeah, there's a bit on that. We'll have to settle for the one there. And that does conclude the 10th over. And this finishes much as it began, with Belgium miles and miles and miles behind the asking rate.
So it's readying herself to start her third over. And starts with a slower one, but just collected that fine leg. Amazing done also by Valentina Avilay. And also being welcomed back by Joanne Steglitz. 42 for 1, Belgium now. 43 for 1 after this single, of course. And it's Brananik and Trupp on strike. And Trupp manages to get a first boundary in. And there is some noise from the Belgium camp now coming up. So they are celebrating the first boundary of this inning, coming in the 11th over. And there is the wave. I hope there is a camera panned onto that.
It's a good thing that Austria weren't doing a Mexican wave every time Cepeda scored a boundary. That would have been very tiring indeed. That's good that Belgium are celebrating the good times, even though they're going to be going down in this one again. Looks like the two batters in the middle are up for having a little bit more fun now. Pramanik has come in with a willingness to hit, and we'd like to see a bit more of that as we work down these last 10 overs. Otherwise, we're going to end up philosophizing about the benefits of not wearing your safety equipment.
Intent. That is the key word for a lot of cricket going on nowadays, and this is also a word in a lot of cricket chats. However, something that we cannot deny is that the Austrian fielders are showing intent, especially on the boundary ropes, running hard, running towards the ball, and just making sure that it's limited to a single, and the twos are not an option on this field today.
And you can say what you like about the MCC coaching manual, but I'm enjoying Pramanik having a big old swing at that, even though she missed it. I think this innings misses it, and if Belgium want to just shift the momentum slightly, give Austria something to think about tonight, the only way they're going to do it is by more shots like that one. This has picked out the fielder, but it probably had enough on it to reach the boundary. And someone as hungry for big hits as Pramanik appears to be is exactly what you want in this situation, and appears to be dragging her batting partner along just a little bit into the spirit of the innings now.
Exactly the case in that, especially in a heat like today's, and after in the situation that we are in. So this is the second match of today for both teams. They are trying to be efficient in the field placements, and with that, if one batter is having a go at it, they might be reluctant to move the field for the second batter. And with that, of course, the second one gets some areas freed up for themselves. And we've seen that already with the first boundary coming off the bat of Nikola Thrup today. And Branonik hasn't looked much further away from a boundary herself. The last delivery, she hammered down to the boundary at square leg. There might be some... And an appeal here. Umpire not quite interested. Checking with square leg as well. And there is some discussion going on in the field. And it would appear that this is a not out shout. Austrian fielders, of course, thought that it might have come off the bat or off the gloves. Thrup, however, says it was my shoulder, not the shoulder off my bat.
Yep. Sarge Chamunda has a guilty look back at the umpire after that delivery and sees exactly what she feared she would see, which was the arms going out wide. Time to have another go. And there again is that intent that's now been transferred across to Nikola Thrup. We see her having a good old swipe at it. And why not, as we said, at this stage. She's been out there. She's had a lot of time in the middle today. She doesn't need any more of that, at least in comparison to her teammates who haven't had a bat at all. And like we were saying earlier, it's probably time to take a few risks and let a few more people see the middle. It's been good now to see Pramanik, who's on strike at the moment, and what she can do. It'll give the selectors something to think about for the morning as she picks up another one. She must have a few to her name already.
And if the scorecard can be trusted, we are currently at 54 for loss of 1 wicket. And now the strike rotation is coming more and more regularly. So these two batters in the middle, they are in some rhythm right now. They are just going one by one and just seeing out the bowlers, as I was going to say. But this time, Pranonik is tempted into stepping down the wicket and having a go at it, misses it, and misses it. So does the number 20 of Austria, the keeper. Cannot gather the ball for a stumping. And that will be a wide probably as well. No, umpire is happy with that and calls it an over. That is 54 for 1 after 12 overs. And Nikola Thrup on 24 of 38 deliveries. And Pranonik is on 5 after 7 deliveries.
Well, I think after scoring 79 in a similarly impossible chase this morning, getting to 3 figures would be a nice target for Belgium now, something for them to aim at, something realistic for them to aim at in this chase, as they do have a chance against what must be a tiring attack. If not necessarily physically tired, just attack that is a bit hot and knows it's going to win. I think getting past 100 would be really good little mini battle they could win. Starting to play aerial with more and more regularity. And the singles continue to flow with reasonable regularity, which is what we saw from the very start of the Austrian innings. It's all a bit late now, and there haven't been enough boundaries and all of that, which we've covered in great detail. But there we go. Once again, Pramanik slams it into the leg side, but picks out the fielder on that occasion. Didn't get quite enough on it. Stiglitz again. That goes really high. But it'll go down as a dot.
It looked high, but it just bounced shy of the stump, and had that gone probably a couple of centimeters to the right, would have been smacking into the off stump. And once again, short-ish pitched, and a single taken from this one. I think this might be the next viable strategy for Austrian cricket today, that they go with the slow bowlers and try to just go through the overs and collect a few wickets on the way to the 20 overs. It doesn't look that the Belgians are taking any risks. And rightfully so, they don't have to. Match practice is key, match practice is everything today. So rather don't take any risks and make sure that you make it through the day with some wickets in hand. It does sound a bit like we're discussing a test match scenario, but you know, why not make Austrian cricket team work for the win today? So why not make him bowl 20 overs? You have some match practice to win and nothing to lose.
Well, the thought has crossed my mind, Suraj, more than once today, that if we were watching a test match, it would be quite a lot more fascinating in some respects, because these are not teams that are getting bowled out. You'd have to actually go and get their wickets by the looks of it. The batting is, in general, better than the bowling. So I don't think if you were playing a first-class game, you'd necessarily be dealing with really low totals if, as long as the batters had patience, and the Belgians seem to have plenty of that. Of course, it seems to be the way in modern cricket that you have to prove yourself in white ball cricket, well, both as a player and a team or a country, before you get a chance to play first-class cricket, which does, I think, rob players who have talents in that department of opportunities. But there you go. I think it would have been fascinating if today had been a test. I think it would still have been, well. I think you'd like to see Belgium trying to bat for a draw. I can imagine them doing that. They wouldn't amass as many runs on current form, but they're not exactly folding like a house of cards in terms of wickets, are they?
Not falling like a house of cards, but hit on the helmet, and that's another good idea why a helmet is key. So 19, Austria hits 19, Belgium on the head. Sharp kick off the ground for the ball from Andrea. And this time it's hitting the air, slightly off. And that's a run out. Prananik goes for 6 of 15 deliveries and has to depart for a run out. So that's the second run out of the inning for Belgium. And yeah, Nicola Thrupp will have to wonder if she's doing something rather risky, or if she's committing some sort of slaughtering on the non-strikers, or on her batting partners in that case.
Yeah, not sure at whom you could level blame on that, but certainly there was a very, very long decision-making process ahead of that run being taken, and by the time it was taken, it was too late. Of course, it would have been pretty comfortable had they set off immediately, but hindsight is very, very, very easy when it comes to run-outs. But it does raise the interesting point that Austria have not actually taken a wicket off the bat with their bowlers in this innings, and that is actually something Belgium can celebrate. Run-outs are an easy thing to fix. And again, I think if this was a test match, you wouldn't be pushing those singles, and Belgium would still be none down. But that's a discussion, I suppose, for after they've got themselves a ranking in the white ball format. This is, of course, their very first ladies' international day, second game, first day. And there's another single. We'll just identify the new Belgian batter for you. Here's number 3. That's Janie McLean, who hails from South Africa, making it an all-South African partnership in the middle. Well, I mean, they're Belgian, but they're South African Belgians, if you know what I mean.
Andrea Zepeda coming in. So this will be her third over when she's done. And almost makes it to the stumps. Of course, frustrated with that. She has scored 100 today. She has scored a 50. Will she take a wicket? That's the story of today's play for me. She had a catch of her dropped off a bowling earlier in the first match today, which would have been a rather easy catch at point. And well fielded as well at point this time. There is an overthrow still. And backed up now this time. An overthrow of this delivery. And with that, it's overbowled. 58 after 14 overs for 2 wickets lost. Belgium will be keen to go maybe a bit quicker now in the last 6 overs. They have 8 wickets still in the dugout. And there is some runs still to be had at this time and stage for the Belgian innings. And the fielding is currently similar. We have deep extra cover, we have a long on, we have a long off, and we have a deep mid wicket. Although I reckon somebody deep at fine leg could be rather interesting instead of deep extra cover.
So you'd have a deep fine leg, also with the slow bowler on, and take deep cover out. What's the thinking behind that for you?
Thinking behind that is that the line will be rather straight-ish or to the leg side, and a pull towards fine leg will cost me 4 runs, whereas a cut, if the deep extra cover comes in and strands its extra cover, a cut can be either fielded exactly there at extra cover. There's a catch possibility here with the slow right arm, straight-ish delivery. And is there a 2? There is a 2 on the menu, and they go for the double. And a misfield at somewhere in the middle between extra cover, deep extra cover, makes Belgium take 2 instead of a 1. Thwarted to mid-wicket. Umpire very quickly as well to just go and watch the crease in case there is a run, and in case there is a run-out attempt. Can this be taken? No. Falls in no man's land.
Well, I suppose we have to call that no women's land in a women's international. As no players' land, that's another alternative we could use. And plenty of time to discuss these issues in a flagging run chase. Well, one that never really got going to begin with. Oh, it's been very nice taking my sunglasses off. They were starting to steam up in the late afternoon heat. All sorts of moisture coming off the ground, I don't know. Beautiful light at Seabarn now. Really, really gorgeous. The middle of the day was pretty tough for all concerned. Still amazing considering it's the back end of September. As Malika back into the attack there. Nicola Thrupp continues to resist, perhaps hoping to carry her bat. Nicely played away on the leg side there.
Nicola Thrupp standing at 29 of 46 deliveries in no hurry at all currently. Just trying to go through the overs. With that, another wide is being called. So the line from Malika not quite on it. But to be fair, it has been a long day. The lines will start to fade. And generally, the body will start to tear down and wear down. So I think every one of these 22, 25 players will be very happy today that they can have a rest and can sleep in and have only one match to go tomorrow and not another doubleheader coming up.
Yeah, certainly a good weekend's work for them. Even if it's an earlier finish tomorrow, there'll be flights that need to be caught back to Brussels and then to various parts of Belgium. Most of the, well, I would say, as far as I know, all of the Austrian national team players, as they're going to get, oh, that will be a boundary, yes, something to celebrate for Belgium here. Now, I think all of the Austrian team players, if I'm not mistaken, are based in Vienna. And this being a somewhat larger country than Belgium, it's a little bit impractical to travel regularly to Seebahn, which is really the headquarters of Austrian cricket. The nearest ground is a long, long way away in Velden. And apart from that, there aren't any. Apologies, there is also Graz, but that is also a long, long way away from here. In Belgium, of course, it's a different story. And you don't have to live in Brussels to take part in national team training because everywhere in Belgium is pretty much half an hour away from anywhere else. I exaggerate only slightly. Good commitment in the field there and good backing up. So Janie McLean on strike now. Won't have a lot to do with that one. It could go. No, it's going to pull up. They're going to have to run these. And 3 figures is still a definitely realistic possibility for Belgium if they can just keep taking all their opportunities as they are now.
Yeah, one of those stories here. Just a tad bit too wide. Jumps over the keeper and keeps on rolling. And ball did not have enough legs to reach the boundary, but a handy 2 taken off that wide. And now finishes the over with a dot. Once again, after a wide, rather good comeback, good delivery. Makes the makes the batter at least try to attempt to play that. And Belgium now at 75 for 2 wickets down after 16 overs. 4 overs left. And the run chase is still a big mountain. Almost now an Everest ahead of us at 138 runs needed of 24 deliveries.
And of course, mountains are a particular problem for the Belgians. You don't really have a lot of them. The north is pretty flat, and then you've got the Ardennes, which are really just hills. Austrians are much more used to mountains, but they haven't got one to climb. They're the ones that built this mountain for Belgium, and it has proved, as we expected, a little bit too much. But they have had more positives in the second innings that they can take into the evening break and perhaps use as fuel for tomorrow. I think they've shown that they can be a little more positive with the bat, and if they can reach three figures, then they've got to learn how to, get Andrea Metzepeda out tomorrow. So if they can do that, that will take 50 to 100 off the Austrian scorecard. And then show a little bit more intent again with the bat. It's not completely impossible to imagine them turning things around in the morning if everything goes their way. Should be a couple here, at least a couple. And the runs are really beginning to flow now for Nicola Thrupp, who if she really gets on with it, if she really, really gets on with it, could think about a half century, and that's another little target to aim at. There's a bit to play for Belgium here if they look at it that way. Not so much for Austria insofar as the result is pretty much settled. But the Austrian batting lineup can give itself things to aim at.
So this is where my fine leg theory comes into play. We've had 2 shots played in that direction now in 2 deliveries. So I would definitely pull in deep leg. I would push out somebody at fine leg, and catching chances to be had as well if you had either a short or a deep fine leg. Thrupp now in the 40s with that boundary. 42 or 52 deliveries, so already at a healthy strike rate of 80. She had been striking in the 50s at some point, when she was in the 20s and 30s still. So the last couple of runs have come in rather quickly. And it's a wide this time. And Thrupp is not run out as Stiglitz fails to collect the balls cleanly, and then no chance to dislodge the bails. So Nikki really putting those now under some pressure.
And it's good to see for those of us who want to see a closer game tomorrow, and of course those of us who want to see cricket grow across Europe, because just to mention it again, it is only the second ever international match for the Austrian women, so we like to see them have positives to take away from today, because it's good for cricket, and everybody is actually genuine. It sounds like a cliche, but really Austria were in a low place this time last year against Germany, and they've come on a long way. They've been able to take positives out of today, and I think Belgium in the second innings have definitely shown some improvement on the first innings, and it's nice when everyone can go away with something to celebrate.
It's Zepeda now with her last over for today. And makes sure that Thrupp cannot get off the mark here. Dot ball delivered, and a pretty good one as well. And once again, Richard, I will stand to my point. I might go down with the sinking ship as well. I would push Buller away from that position and more towards fine leg.
Yeah, I like the short fine leg idea. I think it's quite good, and you do seem to have 2 fielders kind of fairly square from where we're sitting, and yeah, coming around would definitely give the batter something to think about. There's always the chance of mistiming those. It doesn't matter how In fact, the slower the bowling sometimes at Seabarn, the easier it is to mistime them when you're playing off the back foot especially. Worth noting as well that the Austrian women don't have a lot of experience of this pitch either. They don't get to play here at Seabarn very, very often. Pretty much just for the internationals. There isn't a full-time league as such for the women domestically. So although they've obviously played a few home games here, it's not a regular occurrence. Already looking forward to the return games, and they managed to go over to Belgium next summer. Hope we'll be able to tag along and commentate. Wouldn't that be nice? Go and see what it looks like, what cricket in Waterloo looks like.
Inching closer and closer to her 50. 5 runs away now. So if she keeps on going like she is currently, it won't take her long. And thwats it away for a single this time. Collected at deep mid-wicket. And gets off the strike. So just a boundary away now from her first 50 in T20 internationals. And with that also overcalled, we are 2 overs away from end of this match. Belgium is at, I think, 98. Once the scoreboard updates, we will have it for sure. Yes, 91 for 2 after 18 overs. Nicola Thrupp currently at 46 of 58. Jenny McLean sits at 5 of 10.
Yeah, so just a bit to keep us interested as we go into those last couple of overs. Potential 50 and Belgium getting to 3 figures as Reddy comes charging in and gives away a freebie. Make that 2. Still encouragement coming in from her teammates, which is good to see. That's a good solid hit from Thrupp, but it is well picked up in the deep there, so it'll just be the 1. She goes on to 47.
And that one was better. Good length, good kick. The batsman, the batter, forced to defend this one. Although I have to admit I'm missing some bite in the Austrian bowling lineup right now. And you just have to wonder how much missing out Valentina Avila in the death overs now is hurting Austria with the chances of just collecting late wickets. And another good single, quick single, run-out attempt as well. And that was off the bat too. So 47 for Thrupp. She's on strike.
Plenty of bat on that. They're going to push for 2 surely. Turn and go. And no. The throw's not bad. The throw is not bad, but I feel like they could have made it. 48. You can also understand not wanting to push it too much. if you're on the verge of what would be the first ever international 50 in women's cricket for Belgium, and that's not something they can take away from you. Three figures is looking easier and easier with every wide that goes down. Yeah, that was a good ball from Reddy. Could tell from the moment it came out of the hand. Just looked a good one. Even though we are definitely not behind the bowler's arm. Where we're sitting here, currently at on the boundary at mid-off, wide mid-off. Yeah, long off, wide long off. Got there in the end. So Janie McLean, strike for the time being. Just bunted out towards point. That'll be the over, which takes us into the last. Thrupp on 48, so there's a very clear target for what she and her Belgium teammates would like to see happen in this final over. And the person entrusted with bowling it is the potentially dangerous Malika. I don't know why, but I got a feeling things are going to happen in this over.
Big things to come, indeed. So we are on the verge of the first ever Women's T20 International 50 for Belgium. We are on the verge of the first wicket off the ball for Austria and on a run out. Or will it be even a wicket maiden or a maiden? A lot can happen. And Malika smacks it. And there is not a double on offer. So it's 49 for Thrupp. A lot of scenes are untangling now in the brains. Stranded at 49. We will see. 5 deliveries to come. A couple of wides here and there. Maybe. That's a well-played delivery. Pushed into gully and a single taken.
So with one run here, she can bring up not only her 50, but no, with 2 runs here, she can bring up her 50 and get the 100 up for Belgium. That is, they're going to trot through that single, and that is it. We can say we were here, Suraj. We can say we were here at Seabourn for the first ever Women's International half-century for Belgium. It belongs to Nicola Thrupp. And that is the Belgian 100 up. Sorry for the confusion. All in one fell swoop. It's a muted celebration. They're already cracking on with the game. But as we were saying earlier, something to celebrate, something to take as a positive into the evening team meeting.
Secretary Sab, my balls, please.
So with the important business of the 50 out of the way, the pressure is off for Janie McLean, who might just get run out here. Yes, with a nifty little throw there from Malika. The job is done. And I think that is the game as well. Is it handshakes? It is handshakes, or the Corona equivalent. as Austria have now completed their second victory of the day. Congratulations to the Austrians. The rest of the bench is running on to celebrate with the 11 on the field. Very, very good job. 2 hefty victories for the Austrians. Well done to Nicola Thrupp for her 50. Suraj, do you want to bring it home? Maybe even a wrap-up in German.
Das war Tag 1 von Österreich gegen Belgien, Frauencricket, T20 International. Und die großen Punkte des heutigen Tages: Österreich feiert sein erstes Century, 100 Runs für eine weibliche Spielerin von Österreich. Und Belgien feiert das erste 50 für die erste Spielerin in Frauencricket für Belgien. Also im Großen und Ganzen für beide Mannschaften, für beide Nationen ein großer Tag heute. Beide hatten sie viele Spielanteile. Österreich dominiert, Belgien versucht hinterherzukommen, Belgien versucht dem etwas entgegenzustemmen und Belgien ist tatsächlich mit den ersten 2 jemals gespielten internationalen